Yo, what's up? My name is Petrowski, and today I'm making a video talking about some of the best spots to farm Pokemon for each egg group in PokeMMO. So I hope you guys like this video. Let's go ahead and cover some of the basics. Alright, quickly, for those who don't know, an egg group is basically a group that a Pokemon is assigned to that kind of dictates what other Pokemon it can breed with. So, there's things like the Monster Egg group, the Dragon Egg group, which are what Charizard are a part of. Let's go ahead and look at the GTL. We can scroll through all of the egg groups. Monster, Water A, Bug, Flying, Field, Fairy, Plant, Humanoid, Water C, Mineral, Chaos, Water B, and then Dragon, and then Ditto and some other general ones, but those are all of the main age groups. But let's talk about why you need aid groups, or kind of what they're used for. So basically, aid groups are a way of allowing a person to breed a not so great Pokemon into a really cool, great Pokemon. So for example, you can, Magikarp, for example, is in the Dragon Egg group. We can go ahead and check that here. So Magikarp can breed with Pokemon like Deino into Hydreigon, into Garchomp, who's like the most played OU Pokemon in the game. So you can constantly like catch and find these really common Pokemon like Magikarp and use their IVs and turn them into a really wanted or desired Pokemon like Garchomp or Hydreigon. So now that we understand that, it's important to understand that different aid groups have different prices, and some are more expensive than others, and you'll want to farm certain ones more than others. So let's go ahead and look at the Monster Aid group. What is the cheapest price for a 31 speed Monster Aid group Pokemon? Right now, around 9K. Let's check for Bug, around 9K, similar. What if we changed it to 31 special attack? Bug, the cheapest one's around 4K. Which is a huge difference. Now let's go back to Monster. It's going to be around 3K. So certain aid groups have more specific Pokemon. What if we check 31 special attack for Dragon? Also around 3K. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised by that, but it basically depends. Some groups, like for example, here we go. Chaos aid group 31 special attack is going to be around 12K, which is a really nice price. But let's look at 31 attack in the Chaos Aid group. So that's really cheap, around 2K. This is like, I believe this is one of the cheapest, or it may be the cheapest IV in an aid group that is possible. What if we put 31 attack into the Monster Aid group though? It's going to be around 8K. So certain aid groups kind of end up needing more stats, at least generally, more than others. There'll be different price variants, but the basics are catching a consistent stream of a lesser desired Pokemon and using that into breeding into a much more desired Pokemon. Alright, but now that we've covered the basics, let's go ahead and get into the first aid group I want to talk about. It's going to be the Field aid group. There's always tons of options, but for the Field aid group, in my opinion, the best option that you can have is going to be in Diglett Cave. You can bike up and down here and find Diglett or Dugtrio. Dugtrio spawns a little rarer, so you kind of want to either kill these, or you can catch these as well, although they're going to be a little higher catch rate. So basically, Dugtrio and Diglett are really good Field aid group Pokemon to catch because there's a almost 100% chance you'll encounter them while in Diglett Cave. It's called their cave for a reason, because there's a consistent stream of them. You can just run into them over and over again, consistently catch Digletts. Sometimes you'll run into, I believe Zubat is the other Pokemon. I think this cave is full of Diglett, Dugtrio, and then occasionally Zubat. But you should be able to Spore and False Swipe these Pokemon very simply. Make sure you have some sort of False Swipe Spore Pokemon. You're going to be needing that when you're doing any sort of aid group or Pokemon farming in general. But yeah, so you can catch these Pokemon quite easily. Hope for a decent one. This one's actually pretty decent. This is something I would mark as noted, and move on from there. This is my best recommendation for the Field aid group. It's pretty close to a PC. They can also hold items like Soft Sand or Energy Root, which are worth around 3K each. The only real downside to hunting the Diglett spawn is that they have Arena Trap, which is kind of annoying, so you can't really run away from them. You have to actually kill them to be able to leave the battle, which can be kind of a pain if you're trying to like get out of the cave or something like that, but usually you're catching them, so it doesn't make a huge difference. And then another positive is that Dugtrio is a decently wanted Pokemon. He recently got moved up to the UU tier. He was in NU for a little bit. He got his attack buffed. So he's a decently wanted competitive Pokemon. Not the most wanted, but still decently wanted. So yeah, Diglett Cave is by far my best recommendation for for any sort of field egg group Pokemon farming. Alright, now some of these egg groups are going to have multiple Pokemon or multiple options. Some are going to have just one option that is so far and above the best that we're just going to talk about that and stick to that. And this is an example of that. We're going to be talking about the Humanoid egg group. We're going to be going to the east of Falibor Town, and right here you should counter, I don't know if it's 100% encounter rate or almost 100% encounter rate Spinda. Spinda is pretty low level. They'll be around 15 to 25 or 15 to 20-ish or so. Very, very easy to catch. They will have Chesto Berry on them sometimes, so it might be better to just false swipe them once and then throw the Pokeball, as opposed to false swipe then sporing and throwing the Pokeball, because you could go ahead and, you know, obtain an extra Chesto Berry. That's kind of cool, but you're also just going to be wasting that turn of Spore. But this location is super, super nice because the Spindas are low level. It's extremely close to a PC, very easy to get to, very easy to farm right here in this dusty patch. Really, really great location. I think it's just by far the best Humanoid egg group breeder location, and Humanoid is also one of the more expensive egg groups. So this is a great place to farm, and I personally want to start farming here a lot more. So heavily, heavily recommend it. Alright, when you look at that, our second catch was a nice 1x31 speed Humanoid egg group. Let's go ahead and check the price on that. So let's go to egg group, go to Humanoid, go to 31 speed, sort by lowest price. That's a super free, around 12k. This I could actually go ahead and buy and flip. It's underpriced, but yeah, easy 12k right there. Alright, now on to two egg groups at once, actually, really quickly. The best way to do this, far and above every other method, is something that I've talked about a ton on my channel, and it's going to be farming Magikarp in the Safari Zone. I can't talk about this enough, about how good this method is. You can pay 500 Pokeyen to come in here, catch 30 Magikarp, which outside of the Safari Zone would have cost you around 200 Pokeyen per ball. So there's a huge, huge price difference there. You make your money back on 3 Magikarps alone. So really, really incredible method, being able to come into the Safari Zone, sit here, Old Rod. You're not going to lose you're not going to lose many of your steps. You're just going to be able to Old Rod until you catch 30 Magikarp, and then Magikarp is the best egg group breeder for Water Bee and Dragon. Such an easily farmed Pokemon. Obviously, you can farm Magikarp wherever you would like. If you want to farm him in Vermilion, basically anywhere where there is water, anywhere where you can click the Old Rod. Magikarp is basically the most common Pokemon in the entire game, probably, or at least very, very close and very, very up there. Anywhere where you can throw out the Old Rod, you can usually find Magikarp, although I heavily, heavily recommend the Safari Zone as being far and above the best spot. Alright, and sticking to the water theme, let's go ahead and talk about egg group Water A. So, there's two fantastic options for this. Both of them have dual egg groups, so both of them can be really good at farming two different egg groups. The two options are going to be Slowpoke and Wingull. Slowpoke is also in the monster egg group and is a really good Pokemon to catch for that. And then Wingull is also in the flying egg group, so that's a really good Pokemon to catch for that if you need dual egg groups or something of the like. But let's go ahead and stick to the Water A theme. So, the best spot for Slowpoke, at least in my opinion, or one of the best spots, is going to be in Celadon City. Here in this patch of grass, or patch of water, excuse me, it should be a very, very common spawn, and you can just run back and forth. It's not a 100% spawn, but it's very, very common, and you can just run back and forth here. I do think that Wingull might be the superior option here, but Slowpoke is a great option. Alright, I did not get Slowpoke until my 4th encounter, that's honestly, a good thing to consider. That took a while, so it is important to consider that. But Slowpoke is a really good Pokemon to catch because Slowbro and Slowking are both very, very wanted right now. Mostly Slowbro, but Slowking is also, always kind of there. Slowbro is currently one of the best Pokemon in the NU meta, which is really, really important in the tier that I play. It's the second most played Pokemon at the moment, almost at around 30% usage. So every third team is going to have a Slowbro, which is pretty crazy. So you can catch Slowpoke for that regard. It's important to try to look for Pokemon that you can farm for certain age groups, that you can farm towards that age group, but also you could sell towards that specific desired Pokemon, which is basically selling to someone who wants a Slowbro or who wants a competitive Slowbro, as opposed to just someone who's trying to use it to breed and farm within that age group. That makes kind of female breeders in spots like that, spots with desired Pokemon, more valuable. Alright, but that's the Slowpoke spot. They're also decently low level, around 30 to 35. Let's go ahead and head over to Hoenn, I believe, for the Wingull spot. Alright, and here's our Wingull spot. I'll go ahead and catch this and then show you guys exactly where we're at. We're in Dewford Town, but there's an important kind of spot you have to be at in this town because you can quickly leave the waters you need to be in and end up on a different location. But you need to make sure you're in Dewford Town to be able to get the decent Wingull spawn. There are Wingull spawns all across the PokeMMO world, and you can kind of go wherever you have access to, and it's all about kind of finding the best spot that fits you the best. So right now I'm just in Dewford Town. It was the top one on the list. It's a very common spawn spot, and you can just, it's right next to a PC. They're around level 20 to 30. You can just run back and forth in the water, catch them pretty easily. Should be pretty easy catches, and I'll go ahead and show you guys, check the IVs on this, see if it's decent. Almost, I'm not sure. I might go ahead and mark that as notable, but basically you want to be right here on this water near this kind of dock. So here's the PC right here, you can see in the corner, and you just run back and forth in this spot. The reason you stay in this spot is because you're going to be like hip checking yourself or checking yourself against the walls, so you don't accidentally leave the water, because if you were to like run up and down here, you would end up on this pier, and then you're stuck and you're no longer encountering Pokemon. And then if you go too far east, check the top left corner of my screen. Now we're on Route 107, so we can't go over here. If we go over here, we're not going to be encountering Wingull as much. If we go to north, we'll be on Route 106, I believe. So it's important to kind of make sure we're still in the Dewford Town area, or just go ahead and check what other locations you can catch Wingull at, and find the best location that's the best for you. Wingull and Slowpoke are both great options because both of them are really desired Pokemon in PvP. Pelipper is actually the only Pokemon within PokeMMO that gets the ability Drizzle, which alone makes him OU and makes him one of the strongest Pokemon in the game, because being able to set up rain for rain dance teams is really, really powerful. So he also gets Stab Hurricane, which is 100% accurate in rain dance. So really, really powerful Pokemon, really, really needed for competitive. Both are really needed, plus Wingull is in the flying age group, and then Slowpoke is also in the monster age group, which are two alternative expensive age groups as opposed to the water A age group. Alright, but that's enough about the water A age group. Let's go ahead and move on to the water C age group, which is a really simple one. Alright, we're here in Pallet Town. So the water C age group is actually a really, really easy one / it's simple, because it's basically full of a ton of rare Pokemon and then Tentacool. So it's things like Archon and Kabuto, and like a lot of fossil Pokemon, rare Pokemon, and then all of a sudden Tentacool and Tentacruel are just in that same age group. So you can go ahead and surf here. You can obviously find Tentacool and Tentacruel all across the game. Basically surf wherever you want and you're going to find these Pokemon. But I think it's kind of cute or cool to do it in Pallet Town. It's the starting town of Kanto. How could you not? Anyway, so you can go ahead and surf along this part here, and then just catch the Tentacool. It's a really simple age group. Tentacool is going to be your best bet by far in this age group. There's basically no other competitor because all other Pokemon in the age group are really rare except for Tentacool. So Tentacool is really common Pokemon that is used to breed with a ton of really rare Pokemon. Really, I don't know, really annoying, really funny Pokemon, but it makes it pretty simple, I guess, in that regard. Water C is a pretty cheap age group because even though the people or the Pokemon that are in it are pretty rare and decently wanted, there's just so few Pokemon in the age group, and there's so many more. There's like way more supply of Tentacool than there is a demand to make breeders for the Pokemon in the age group. So Water C is a pretty cheap age group, and I would basically try to avoid it if possible. Not all egg groups are made equally, and not all egg groups are going to be used for farming, but I still wanted to include every single one just in case people want to, farm them. Maybe they'll play on like an Iron Man account, which is basically they can't trade or can't use the GTL, and they want to do everything on their own and have all the Pokemon be their OT. They want to farm their own Pokemon, do everything, catch all of their own Pokemon. So I want people to have that option and to still just have the information, even though it might not be the most useful. If you're trying to make money, personally, I would just stick to catching like Magikarps, Spinda, and then some upcoming ones like Paris is going to be good. And then maybe some Chaos Egg Breeders, maybe like Diglett. But those are the ones you kind of want to stick to. And then Wingull might be good. There's certain ones that are going to be better for making money than like just understanding all of the information. It's important to keep that in mind when watching this video. Alright, on to the monster egg group. There's two spots that we've kind of already touched on that I want to just lay out really quickly or simply in this part. So there's going to be, in the Safari Zone here, you can catch Nidorans, whether male or female, or Nidorino or Nidorina. Those are all in the monster egg group, and that'll be really cheap and pretty good. Since you're in the Safari Zone, you're paying such a small amount for Pokeballs. The other kind of secondary option is also Slowpoke, which we've already talked about, to a decent extent, which you can find in Celadon, in Fuchsia City. You can find Slowpoke in a decent amount of spots. I'm pretty sure you can find them in the Safari Zone as well. Make sure you check the Pokedex and find the best option for you. I think Celadon's a pretty good option, but that's up to you. And then there is the best option, which we still have to talk about, and I'll go ahead and head over to Hoenn and show you guys that one. Alright, the best option, in my opinion, for monster egg group farming is going to be here in Falibor Town. You might be familiar with this location if you've ever farmed a Ditto or farmed a decent amount of Ditto in your life. So you're going to be heading through that house in this cave in Falibor Town, and you're heading to the Ditto location. Now, why is that? This cave is full of, I believe it's like a 40 or 60% chance to encounter Ditto, and then the opposite for Whismur and Loudred. And these are going to be really easy to catch, really common Pokemon. So you can also just farm Ditto while you're farming monster egg group Pokemon. Some people do that. I think it's really cool to have that option. Or I think the smartest play, in my opinion, might be to catch any male Whismur or Loudred you see, catch any of the male monster egg group Pokemon, but then catch every Ditto, but then only catch the males of the monster egg group. Those are going to be worth a little more. Since it's Whismur, people aren't really wanting to breed Exploud. It's not a very good Pokemon. So there's our Whismur. I believe it's a 60% chance for Ditto and then 40% for Whismur. It could be 50-50. It's somewhere around those odds, just to keep in mind. And yeah, this is a really great spot to farm them. Really, really cool Pokemon. Whismur are used a ton in breeding. You can find a ton of them on the GTL. I think this is like a really common spot, and people just catch Whismur a ton for breeders. Let's go ahead and check a 31 speed Whismur. It's going to be around 9K. I think it's just a really, really common spot, really well-known spot, but some of you guys might not know this, so go ahead and check out the Whismur here. I'm getting a ton of Ditto right now, which is hilarious, because usually when I'm here trying to find Ditto, I'll find like 5 Whismur in a row. So this is just important. I do like this spot a lot, since it's Ditto and Whismur. Ditto, there's Loudred as well. Ditto is probably the most profitable Pokemon in the game that you can catch. It's kind of close, but it probably is the overall, especially long term, because higher priced or really good IV Dittos are worth a lot, much more than any good IV any other Pokemon. So long term, I think Dittos are going to be the best. Worth the most. But anyways, that's it for the monster egg group. Come here, catch some Whismurs, catch some Dittos, onto the bug egg group. Alright, this spot is really nice because we actually get to cover 2 egg groups at once. This is going to be the best spot for the bug and the plant egg groups, specifically both. We're going to be catching Paris. So we're going to be in Mount Moon in Kanto, heading up to this ladder. Thankfully, we didn't get an encounter on the way there. And then all in this tunnel, I believe it's a 100% chance to encounter Paris. This is actually where you would go way back in the early days of PokeMMO to do attack EV training, which is hilarious. I do believe that, I'm not sure if you can spore Paris or not, and it's really important to have a Breloom when doing Paris, and having a Breloom specifically. Yeah, so you can't spore Paris. That's an important note. But specifically, have a catching Breloom with Poison Heal and Toxic Orb is really, really important when catching Paras, because they can have the ability Effect Spore on top of stuns, like all their moves like Stun Spore, Poison Powder, everything like that. So they're going to try to status you, so it's really nice to be able to eliminate that issue, and that's going to save you a ton of running back and forth to the PC. There we go. Really nice catch. 1 times 31, 1 times 30 male plant and bug egg group. That's actually like 1 times 31 plus 1 times 30 more. Really great catch. Paras is just the best Pokemon to be catching for bug and plant. He's so easy to catch, so low level, and another huge positive is that he'll sometimes hold tiny and big mushrooms. People used to come here back in the day just to farm mushrooms before catching Pokemon like this was even a profitable method. So it's worth almost alone for the mushrooms. Not really nowadays. Back in the days, methods were a lot more barbaric. But yeah, having those mushrooms on top of it is super nice. I constantly buy mushrooms off the GTL. Mushrooms are the most useful item in the game for relearning moves. For those who didn't know that. So mushrooms, I believe big mushrooms go for around 4K a piece right now. They actually spiked up during the Halloween event. Okay, a little less. They go for around 3K a piece. So you can get mushrooms for around 3K a piece, and it's just some extra money on top of your breeders. And the mushrooms are like semi-common as well, which is super nice. But yeah, Paras is just going to be by far the best Pokemon to catch for the bug and plant egg group. Alright, now onto the flying egg group. There is one spot that I've already talked about, back to the Wingull spot. That is another good option if you want flying egg group Pokemon. And then there are 2 other spots on top of that. In my opinion, the best spot is probably going to be the Wingull spot, or maybe this location if you just want flying type Pokemon. Route 1 in Kanto has a very, very common Pidgey spawn. So you can actually just come here, especially if you're like just getting into the game. If you're like very, very new to PokeMMO and you're just started Kanto, coming to Route 1 and just catching Pidgeys can be like decent Pokeyen, because flying is a pretty expensive egg group. If you find a flying type Pokemon with 31 speed, it's probably going to be worth 10 plus K. Let's go ahead and check. So 31 speed, egg group, flying, search, sort by lowest. Yeah, it's going to be around 10K at the moment. What about if we sort by male? Yeah, around 10K, 11K, probably around 11K more likely. So yeah, it's a pretty expensive, it's a decently expensive egg group. Some things will be worth a lot more as well. As of course, I feel like I've had some pretty poor luck in this video trying to display things. Pidgey is a very, very common spawn here. It's probably a 50% chance for Pidgey, 50% chance for Rattata, although I believe that Hoot Hoot and some other Pokemon might spawn here at nighttime, but this is a really decent budget or really decent early game option for those in Kanto who want to catch some flying type egg group Pokemon. Alright, there's my first Pidgey. It took around 4 or 5 encounters, I believe, which took a long time. But if you're farming from that nighttime, they will occasionally be asleep as well. So you can probably just go ahead and throw a Pokeball and catch it really easily, since it's just so low level. Level 4 and asleep should be a pretty guaranteed catch. Just kidding. My luck this video has been abysmal. That's the recorder's curse. Let me go ahead and false swipe it. False swipe it and Pokeball it from there, and I'll see you guys with the catch. Alright, here's the Pokeball. Should be a pretty free catch from here. But yeah, there is one more location or one more Pokemon you can farm for the flying egg group that I do want to mention, and that Pokemon is actually going to be Swablu. So if you want to see that, stick around for that. Check the IVs on this. Pretty bad, but that's okay. Alright, now here's the alternative spot housing Swablu. So Swablu is going to be to the left of, I believe, Falibor Town. I already forget. I think it's Falibor. It's the same town where you go to find Ditto. So it's going to be to the west of Falibor Town on Route 114 and Route 115. It should be a very common spawn, but it honestly took me a little bit to find this one. So you guys can go ahead and give me your own rates, or give me your own. Let me know in the comments like how successful you were farming here. It is said to be a very common spawn here, so it should be pretty decent. Swablu is just a cool option because I think people might like Swablu / Altaria a lot more than Wingull, or what was the other option? Than Wingull or the other poke. I already forget. But yeah, I think it's a cool option to have. People like Altaria a lot more. I believe it also might be in the Dragon egg group, so it's a cool, it's a cool dual typing egg group Pokemon to farm. Just a lot cooler Pokemon than the other options, so it's important to keep in mind. Alright, now on to the fairy aid group. I actually have around 3 options for this one. So the first one is going to be starting here in Petalburg City in Hoenn, right next to the PC. You can come over to this body of water and surf, and here you'll be catching Marl. I believe the 3 Pokemon you'll be encountering in this body of water are Surskit, so there's that example, Surskit, Marl, and Osmoril. Marl and Osmoril will both be in the fairy aid group, but then I believe Surskit is in like water A plus bug, or one of the water egg groups plus bug, so you can avoid that one. But Marl is going to be pretty consistent here. I believe it's at least around a 50% spawn between Marl and Surskit, so you can just find them pretty easily, catch them pretty simple, just a super easy, simple spot right next to a PC, just really consistent way to farm a fairy type Pokemon. The next 2 other options, or at least one of the other options, is going to be less consistent but have some more upsides, and then there's another pretty consistent option that's going to be a little more difficult and be higher level. It's going to be taking place in Kanto, so we'll go ahead and catch this Marl and then move on to those other 2 options in a split sec. Alright, but there's that Marl caught. Might as well check the IVs for the video. Let's go ahead and see. Nothing, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and move on to our next option, which is going to be Shroomish. Alright, now onto our Shroomish spot. It's going to be taking place south of Rustboro City, so you want to start here, bike your way down. We're going to be heading towards the Petalburg Woods. So this is a pretty interesting spot. It's pretty easy to get to because Shroomish only has, I believe it's an uncommon chance to spawn here, but Shroomish has a couple more upsides that some of the other spots don't really have as much. So Shroomish, first of all, can have tiny mushrooms and big mushrooms, similar to Paris. Also balm mushroom, which I think you can sell to a shop for around 5k, which is pretty cool. So a little bit of extra side money there, on top of Breloom being a very desired Pokemon for 2 different reasons. He's very, very good in the OU PvP tier. So we can go to OU, search Breloom, and find him here. Really cool Pokemon, grass fighting, really unique typing, has priority Mach Punch, really, really cool Pokemon, can have Spore, very, very desired for PvP, on top of being very desired for a catching Pokemon. As you can see in my inventory right here, Breloom is really important for catching specific Pokemon, especially Ditto. So it's a very desired Pokemon. You're going to be encountering a lot less Shroomish here. You can just run back and forth in this grass here. It'll be way less consistent than the Marl spot or the next spot I'm going to cover, but there's kind of some more upsides that make it at least worth mentioning. So I'm going to go ahead and find a Shroomish and catch it and just show you guys an example. So I'll tell you guys how many encounters it takes me as well to get one. Okay, there's the Shroomish encounter. It did take me around 10 encounters. I do think I was probably unlucky with that. It probably will take around maybe 3 to 4 on average, so it is definitely up to you whether this spot is worth it. I just thought it was super worth mentioning, as there are some serious upsides, and you could definitely sell Shroomish towards being your Breloom and make a lot more money than selling them towards the Fairy Egg group. So I just thought it was an important thing to consider. Let's go ahead and check this one, or catch this one, and check the IVs, and they'll be moving on to, there is one more fairy spot that I want to cover, just because I'm very familiar with it, and I've spent a lot of time there, and that's going to be at the kind of 5-island Meadow Isle in Kanto. So let's go ahead and head there, and there you'll be encountering 100% Hoppip or Skiploom. Alrighty, so starting on Island 5, you're gonna have a bit of a trek ahead of you. We're gonna head east. I'm actually gonna go ahead and pop a repel just to make it easier. Head east over here, come down here. You don't need cut, but you can cut down that tree if you need to. Come down here, surf across the island to the east, and then right here on Memorial Pillar, that's what it's called. I've spent an egregious amount of time myself here. I spent a lot of time back in the day, in the early days of PokeMMO, running up and down here, shiny hunting for Hoppip and Skiploom before hordes were in the game, and I know there's a 100% encounter rate for Skiploom and Hoppip, which are both in the Fairy Egg group. So it's just really, really consistent. They are pretty high level, so it can be like a bit of a chore to catch them being around level 50. I'm actually gonna go ahead and test. Let's see if my false swipe can go ahead and one-shot this thing down to 1 HP. Let's go ahead and see. I just thought this was a really cool spot worth mentioning because it's technically the most consistent. Yeah, it does go down to 1 HP. Nice. It's technically the most consistent since it's a 100% chance as opposed to Marl. Although Marl, I think, is a lot easier. You cannot spore them. I forgot about that. That's really important. You're not going to be able to put them to sleep. It's very, very crucial. So you might have to use something higher than a Pokeball. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch this with a Pokeball level 49 at 1 HP without being put to sleep. But I could be wrong. At least there, maybe we got lucky. It might be like a 50% catch rate there. So I do think this spot was important to mention as it's pretty consistent. And I've spent a lot of time here personally, so I know a lot about it. All right, now on to the Mineral Egg group. We have two more left, Mineral and Chaos. So for the Mineral Egg group, there's kind of like maybe two options you can use. My first option I'm going to recommend is going to be in Sinnoh, here north of Orabo City. It's really, really close to a PC. You can just run up here, and you're going to be encountering, I believe it's a 50% chance for Machop and a 50% chance for Geodude. So you could also catch Machop here if you want, because Machop are in the Humanoid Egg group, which are a pretty expensive egg group, but you're going to be looking for that Geodude encounter. You can find Geodudes all over the PokeMMO world, although I do believe this is like kind of the best spot. I actually didn't know there was Ponyta spawns here. That's kind of cool. Ponyta is another cool Pokemon you can catch. Ponyta is in the Field Egg group, I believe, so you can go for that as well. But Geodudes, when I came here to test it, Geodudes were the most common by far, but now that I turn on recording, obviously, we're not going to run into any. I don't know why my luck has been pretty bad for this recording, and I really apologize for that, but let's go ahead and find you guys a Geodude really quickly. Okay, or not. There we go, on the absolute next encounter after that Ponyta. So it took me around 5 encounters this time. Last time I was here, I believe I found 3 within 4 encounters. So it's supposed to be a very common spawn, and they're also very low level, which is super, super huge. The fact that they're like super low level, you can do this early on into the Sinnoh campaign. Super, super easy farming spot. You don't need to false swipe and spore them. You can just like false swipe them and catch them pretty easily. They also sometimes will have Sturdy, so you can actually catch them sometimes without a false swipe Pokemon, which is cool. They can hold the Everstone and Hardstone. Everstones are around 5k a piece and are commonly used for breeding. I'll constantly stock up on Everstones, and then Hardstones I don't believe are worth too much, but just cool to have those extra, to know what you're getting, those extra items on the side. Geodudes, really cool, really easy. You can find them all over the world. You can check the Pokedex to find a better spot for you, but I think this might be the best spot, but if you don't have this spot unlocked, feel free to use an alternative. Alright, and then our second option for the Minnow Egg group is going to be here in Unova, near Malstralton City. So the PC is right here. You're going to want to come into Chargestone Cave, run over here, and try to make it down here. I believe there is a better spawn rate for Ferrothorn down here, but it might be the same. I'm honestly not totally sure, but basically you're going to be looking for Ferroseed. So Ferroseed is a cool alternative or an option to have, because Ferroseed is a really wanted Pokemon, because Ferrothorn is a really good Pokemon in OU. So just important to consider. You might also want to bring a Breloom here, as you just saw. These can they have Iron Barb as their ability, which is going to cause your Pokemon to take some damage. So having Breloom with Toxic Heal is going to be super important, or Poison Heal is going to be super important to sustaining at least kind of long term while in the cave. So you can go ahead and check here. Bringing a Dig Pokemon might be useful as well, as I always bring my Shuckle with Dig whenever doing any sort of cave farming. So now I've caught my Ferroseed, I can just dig out pretty easy. It's just cool as a secondary option. I think Ferroseed might be, a lot cooler of a Pokemon than Geodude for some people. It can be really nice to switch up spots to kind of reset the mental. If you get bored of grinding Geodude all day, like who wouldn't, it might be nice to come to Ferroseed for a little bit. So keep that Ferroseed option in mind. Alright, and now on to the Chaos Aid group. There's 3 options that I want to touch on. 2 that I want to touch on really quickly, because they're pretty simple and very, very similar. So the 2 that I want to touch on really quickly are Litwick and Ghastly. So Litwick is going to be found at the Celestial Tower, and then Ghastly is going to be found at the infamous Lavender Tower, and the Celestial Tower is kind of like an homage to it. So let's go ahead and cover Celestial Tower really quick, starting here in Mistralton City. It's a bit of a hike. You want to bike up here north and then west onto Route 7, come up to this path. You can actually just hop on this wooden plank to avoid any encounters. You have to hop off your bike for that, head north still, and then get up here to Celestial Tower. So Celestial Tower is kind of cool for a couple reasons. You actually can heal with someone in Celestial Tower, but the person will not heal your PP. So that's really important. So you can't just stay here permanently. That'd be really cool if you could. But I think it's only fair, and I think it's a good balancing decision to go ahead and prevent you from permacamping this spot. But you'll encounter Litwick 100% of the time. And one of the only downsides to Litwick and Ghastly both is that you can't false swipe them because they're ghost types. So you're going to have to just spore them and then Pokeball them and hope to catch. So that is kind of the biggest downside. The most major downside is probably not being able to false swipe them, which is going to increase their catch rate by a ton. But they're still a really cool Pokemon. Ghastly and Litwick are very wanted because Chandelure and Gengar are both very, very good Pokemon in the in the OU tier. So it is really important to keep in mind. Both of these are kind of the classic Chaos Pokemon to farm. They've been in the game for a long time. I do believe that there is a secret good pick that people don't really talk about as much. There's a really good another Chaos Egg Group Pokemon breeder that is, goes under the radar. And we'll get to that in a sec after I go cover Ghastly really quick. Alrighty, and then in the infamous town of Lavender Town in Kanto, everyone probably knows this spot, but I want to cover it super quick. It's going to be the Ghastly spot here in Lavender, which the downside is you have to go up this tower a little more to reach Ghastly as opposed to Litwick, but it's much closer to a PC. It's probably just better to hunt Ghastly overall compared to Litwick, although Litwick can be a refreshing option, and some people might prefer the chance at shiny Litwick over the chance at shiny Ghastly, but that's just totally up to personal preference. But you should be able to run back and forth. I believe it's on this floor, maybe it's the next floor, and then find Ghastly. I went ahead and popped a Sweet Scent just to show you guys. You can find Ghastly. I think it's a 100% chance. I believe you start finding Cubone and other Pokemon the higher up you go, but you should be able to find Ghastly here. I'm getting a little unlucky with encounters, I think. Maybe I have to go a floor up. I'm not sure. I thought it was once you encounter any smoke, you should be able to get wild encounters. I think my luck for this video has just been generally a little poor, which has made me a little sad, but that's okay. I'll see you guys once I get a Ghastly encounter. It's actually crazy how long it took me to get that one encounter. It's just been an unlucky day. I feel like I actually feel a little sad. I feel like this video has become very sloppy due to some poor luck and maybe not enough preparation, but I hope it's good enough for you guys. Anyways, let's go ahead and show you. So pretty simple stuff, very comparable to Litwick. You just spore it and Pokeball it, and then that's it. Pretty simple stuff. Let's go ahead and catch this, and I'll show you guys the secret, underrated Chaos Egg Group Pokemon spot. Alright, there's that Ghastly caught. Time to move over to Sinnoh to check out a very specific Pokemon, very forgotten Pokemon, Shellos. Alright, now on to this underrated spot. It's going to be east of Floroma Town in Sinnoh. So this might be one of my favorite spots of the entire video, honestly, alongside kind of like the Spinda spot. I think it's super underrated, super cool. You're going to be encountering Shellos here like a large majority of the time. And Shellos is going to be in the Chaos Egg Group and maybe something else. Water A in Chaos Egg Group. I also think Gastrodon is not a super wanted Pokemon, but also not an undesired Pokemon. Gastrodon can be really cool in doubles, and I believe he's in the UU tier if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead and check out my Pokedex. Yeah, he's in UU. He's a really cool doubles option as a water ground Pokemon with Storm Drain. So really, really cool Pokemon. Really cool spot. Super close to a PC. Super early game into Sinnoh. So I think it's just a solid Chaos Group farming option that should be, thought of and be kept in mind when wanting to farm any sort of Pokemon. But that covers it. That's the last Pokemon of the last egg group I wanted to cover today. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this video was helpful for you. I'm honestly a little disappointed, I feel like, as how it turned out. I feel like it came out a little sloppy. Maybe I wasn't prepared enough. I'm not sure. I could see myself kind of redoing this video in a much more short and compacted, like, information-dense, I would try to keep it, under 5 minutes shorter video, just doing one option for each instead of, 2 to 3 per each egg group. But anyways, if you guys liked this video and if it was helpful for you, please click the like button and subscribe to let me know. Leave comments and questions below in the comments section. So you can actually become a YouTube member by paying $5 to me a month in the description below as kind of an extra support. If you're interested in that, join the Discord link below. There's a lot of really cool people there. I'm really lucky to have such a really cool Discord growing. And that's it for now. Thank you guys so much. Have an absolutely incredible day. Peace and love from Petrowski.